You are looking live at the 2022 Kentucky Derby Study Group. We're going to get together here and handicap for the next 45 minutes to 1 hour and take a look at the top contenders for the 2022 Kentucky Derby. We're going to divide this up into 4 sections. We're going to talk about the speed figures of the Kentucky Derby, some of the different metrics on some of the different speed figure services. We're also going to talk about key horses, which horses are going to be the key to your Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby wagering day. Then we're going to take a look at some possible Oaks Derby doubles and some wagering strategy. And then we're going to take a look at kind of a ABC method for pick 4 for the Saturday pick 4 at Churchill Downs that ends with the 2022 Kentucky Derby. So if you've got your questions, make sure to get them in the comments. And right away, welcome to the show. We've got Gail. What she's looking to accomplish out of this study session is to find 2 key horses, hook them up with all the other ones in the field. So maybe not all of the horses, but maybe she's going to do that. So let's try to find a couple of key horses for Gail as we continue along with our handicapping. One of the things I do want to talk about in this show is kind of go over the speed figures and how I approach the Kentucky Derby. Now, a lot of times I think people try to approach this race that all 20 horses are going to win this race. And I just don't look at that. I think you can spend hours if you start to think that all 20 of these horses have the same equal chance. So the first thing that I like to do every year is eliminate 4 horses right away. So I'm going to come out of the box hot here with my hot take, but these are the 4 horses that I'm going to be eliminating right away. Ethereal Road, Dwayne Lucas, of course, getting his 50th Kentucky Derby starter, but there's nothing in his resume and past performances that says he is going to win this race. His speed figures, he would have to improve by 10 to 12 points on any of the speed figure scales to be competitive in this race. He lost in the Lexington. They've been over racing him a little bit. Of course, Lucas putting him on the trail early at Oaklawn Park. Summer is tomorrow. He's got a lot of races. I just don't see any room for improvement. He's not going to be the lone speed in the Kentucky Derby like he was in the UAE Derby. He's got multiple losses in UAE that speed figures are just slower than what the Kentucky Derby is going to be. Happy Jack, he's been beat by 27 links, 12 links, and 10 links in his last 3 races. I don't see any way he can win this race. And yes, I'm throwing out Barber Road. He just hasn't been able to get the job done at Oaklawn. I thought Oaklawn Park was the weakest division of the 4 regions, California, Oaklawn, and then you had Florida and New York. I thought the Arkansas Derby horses that were there along the whole trail just was the weakest group. So now those are my 4 tosses, but that's how I approach the Derby. So give me your 4 tosses if you have them. Peter May Jr., setting this up and all the info through the prep season. Good to have you on. Of course, Peter May writes a Kentucky Derby beginner's guide for people that are new to the Kentucky Derby. So you may want to check out his Twitter timeline. And so that's what I do. I like to eliminate 4 horses right away. Now, your 4 horses may not be those same 4 horses. And right away, we're going to have differences of opinions. But what I'm trying to show you, if you try to spend the same amount of time trying to pick the winner out of all the 20 horses, I think you're going to spend a lot of time. And again, Kelly, what I'm saying on my contenders is that I don't think Barber Road can win the Kentucky Derby. I don't think Ethereal Road can win the Kentucky Derby. I think it's possible any of the 20 horses can run 3rd. I think it's possible any of the 20 horses can run 4th. So that is how I look at this race. I don't think all 20 horses have a chance to win. I think maybe about 8 or 9 horses have a chance to win. And I think about maybe 10 to 15 horses have a chance to run 2nd. So even though I don't think Barber Road can win the race, I think you can throw a horse like Barber Road in 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. I just don't think you want to use. What I'm saying is I won't be using those horses in my daily doubles. I won't be using them in my pick 5s. I won't be using them in my pick 4s. They're just going to be probably about 50 to 1 on average. One of the things I wanted to bring up right away was the speed figures and kind of talk about The highest rated buyer speed figure was Messier back in February. He got a 103. Now Taiba got a 103 in the Santa Anita Derby, and he beat Messier. So if you're liking buyer speed figures, I think one of the strategies you've noticed in past derbies, a lot of times horses, 2 of the top 4 horses will be from one region. So we saw it with Funny Side and Empire Maker, and then we saw it a couple of other times where a couple of horses in the top 4 were horses that competed against each other in a previous race. So what I'm saying is if you like Simplification or Charge It or White Abario, probably another one of those 4 horses will run in the top 4. If you like Messier, then I would probably include a horse like Taiba in the top 4. If you like Taiba, then I'd use Messier in the top 4. So another person has shared their can't win list, which, yeah, maybe that's a better term for it, the can't win list. Don't think he can get the distance, and he'll have too much work to do with his outside draw. So that's what I mean from they can run second, they can run third, they can maybe run fourth, but they're not on my can't win list. They're not horses that I'm going to use. Now on the Brisnet scale, Taiba and Mo Donegal have the fastest speed figures. They're both at a 111. Messier is right behind with a 108. And then Epicenter's got a 101. So now Epicenter is different than Brisnet. Now Buyer does not incorporate ground loss on the turn, wind, or anything like that. And they are manually adjusted, and they will break up the track surface on the day. Brisnet speed figures are more computerized. And what happens there is that it's pretty much a mathematical formula. They take how far away that the speed figure was from the track record, and then how far away it is from their fastest time in the last year. So what happened is the Wood Memorial was ran really fast. All winter long, we had slow times at Aqueduct. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Speaker's Corner runs off the screen, a very fast Gazelle, a very fast Wood Memorial. And I think Buyer tried to adjust for the changing track surface, whereas Brisnet doesn't do that because it's more of a computerized formula. Timeform US, they include ground loss, and they include a little bit of pace factor as well. So if it's a fast pace and a horse is up on the pace, sometimes a loser of a race will have a higher speed figure. And on the Timeform scale, they're going with Messier over Taiba. And if you notice, even though Messier lost the race, he beat Taiba. Messier lost the race. He has a higher speed figure than Taiba. So that's based on the pace of the race. Messier was closer to the pace and made his move going into the turn and challenged kind of some of those fast fractions. Also, they do manually kind of look at their times. So it's a little bit human. It's a little bit computerized, but they do include some other factors than just straight out times and pars. So that's a look at your speed figures. Any comments on speed figures, make sure to get them out here. What are some handicapping things that you look for when you try to look for your key horses? First off, let's go to the Canterbury Park vlog. Key horses to drop: Mo Donegal, Happy Jack, Pioneer of Medina, and Ethereal Road. So that's their kind of can't win 4 horses. So again, what we're trying to do is maybe eliminate some of the horses for people that are kind of new to handicapping the Kentucky Derby. One of the things is recently horses that have won their prep race have won the Kentucky Derby or ran second. There's been very few horses that run third or worse in the prep race. So you kind of want to concentrate on the horses that won recently on the prep races. Authentic, Medina Spirit had ran second in the Santa Anita Derby last year before winning the Kentucky Derby. Mandaloon was in the top 3. Meanwhile, you have other horses like American Pharaoh. He won his prep race at Oaklawn Park. Always Dreaming won his prep race. So the trend in the last 10 years has been for horses to win the prep races. Also, the trend in recent years, as we've had more social media, more analysis of the workouts, we've also got people are now handicapping this race 2 to 3 weeks in advance. Okay, for people that are young on here, back in the day, I used to get the past performances for the Kentucky Derby on Friday night before the race. I know, it's wild. People used to not be able to watch replays. And now you've got people that are watching these replays. Some of these races have been watched 100,000 times on YouTube. So I also think workouts are important, but as a lot of people kind of mention, that sometimes you get a lot of these horses are working well. So the only thing that really sticks out is if it's not a good workout. And I really didn't see anything. Some people like Cyberknife's workouts. Other people were impressed by Epicenter's jogs and gallops. A few other people liked White Abarrio's workout on Sunday at Gulfstream Park. I thought that was pretty good. Are we going to get a pace meltdown? We talked a little bit about this on Sunday night. Back in the day, we used to get some horses come from behind. It's been more speed lately. Always Dreaming's been on the front end, wire to wire for Medina Spirit. We went wire to wire with Authentic. We went wire to wire. Actually, Firing Line had the lead all the way around. American Pharoah basically sat in second or third with Dortmund, and then American Pharoah won the race. So we want a little bit of a pace meltdown. That's what Will Cody wants, and try to get somebody coming from behind. Now, you may want... Here's another thing I do want to show you. I think a lot of the people are talking about the post position draw, and I think this is a very good graphic about the post position draw. First off, let's talk about Epicenter. Post position 3, no speed inside of him. Mo Donegal is in post position 1. He's got Joel Rosario. He's trained by Steve Asmussen. If Epicenter loses this race, I just don't see how. It's his. He ain't going to have any excuses. Some of the other horses, maybe Zozo's got post position 19. Somebody else, maybe Mo Donegal got post position 1. But if Epicenter loses this race, it's going to be just because he's not good enough. I don't see any way if he wants the lead, he's going to be on the lead. If he wants to sit second or third at the rail, he'll just sit second or third and be at the rail. Now, Zandon, co-favorite with Epicenter, 4 lifetime races. He won the Bluegrass. He got nosed out in the Remsen. A lot of people thought he should have been put up on the win end. But when you look at that race, he's been training well. Chad Brown, working forwardly again. Post position 10, it's got one of the most wins all time in the Kentucky Derby from post position number 10. So I just feel like if Zandon loses this race, again, really not going to be any excuses for Zandon. Now, again, getting back to the starting gate, I do want to talk about White Abarrio too. This horse I think is getting overlooked a little bit. He's won 4 races. He won the Florida Derby, won the Holy Bull. He won an allowance race by 4 lengths. He won by 6 lengths at Gulfstream Park in his debut at 6.5 furlongs. Interestingly enough, his Florida Derby was a 96 on the Beyer scale. And Thorograph rated that race very high. They factored in the ground loss and the wind and some of the other factors. So even though the final fractions theory don't favor White Abarrio and simplification, Thorograph is rating that race very highly. So here is a graphic of the old Churchill Downs starting gate, the top one, and then the new one. The old one was 2 gates. And if you notice here, post position 1 pretty much ran a straight line right into the rail. So they had to come out of the gate and go around this rail. Horses out here in the auxiliary gate, there was this big gap. Sometimes the horse in post position 13 went into the gap. Sometimes the horse in the first gate out here went into the gap, and they kind of smashed right in the middle. With the new gate, it's 20 horses. It's 1 gate. So what happens here is there's a clear line when you get to this that there really is, Mo Donegal's going to have a straight line. Epicenter's going to have a straight line. There really should be no issues from some of the horses here getting out of this new starting gate. We've only had 2 years because of Authentic going wire to wire. And then we had Medina Spirit going wire to wire. So I think overall the people are not liking the Florida horses because of the Beyer speed figures and the Brisnet speed figures. And let's see here. Stalls are much smaller, a blog reason why Rosario lost its iron last year. So that's what Chris says about the new starting gate. So that's probably true because you have to squeeze all 20 horses into one starting gate. So maybe there's a little bit of an impact there on the amount of position that they have. Got another person, Key Horse, says this could set up for Smile Happy. Very possible that Smile Happy could reverse, just like Funny Side reversed it on Empire Maker in the Kentucky Derby that one year. So, looks like we may see some rain on Saturday. Kind of agree with that as well. So, sloppy track could impact the Oaks and Derby. So that's kind of a look at the pace. That's a look at the starting gate, and kind of want to move along now to the next topic here on the show. And remember, Kentucky Derby is race 12 on Saturday. It's part of a big stakes card. The Oaks is Friday. And let's talk about Oaks Derby doubles. A lot of people talking about the Oaks Derby double this year. Kind of give me some of your strategies, how you like to play it out. Who are some of your top picks for the Oaks Derby double? Starting it off, surprisingly enough, Nest was made the morning line favorite at 5-2. Kathleen O was 7-2. Echo Zulu is 4-1. I just don't see that happening. Echo Zulu is undefeated. She's a 2-year-old champion. She won the Breeders' Cup. 70,000 people bet on her in the Breeders' Cup. She was 3-5 that day. I just don't think they're going to abandon a horse like this. I think she's going to be played in the Oaks Derby doubles. I think she's going to be played in win wagers. Not saying she's going to win. I just think she's going to be most likely 3-1 to 7-2. Nest may be slightly favored. I don't think Kathleen O is going to be lower odds than Echo Zulu. So somebody asked, how does Churchill play on a sloppy track? Well, it depends on. Sloppy to me means it's raining or it recently rained. So right now it's supposed to rain, a 90% chance of rain Friday afternoon. Now it's only Tuesday, and a lot of times the weather can change. But if it's sloppy, they're going to basically roll the track. They're going to seal the track, and it's going to play to front runners. And you're going to want to be on the front end, or you're going to want to be inside. Now, if they don't seal the track and they get a downpour, then you could get some mud, and you could get some people coming from behind. You could get some slower fractions. But I kind of want to wait and see what the weather does Friday before I kind of handicap for that. Nest is by Curlin. Kathleen O also has a little bit of a slot pedigree, but there's really no horse. Maybe you can move up Cocktail Moments a little bit. I do like the Uncle Mo's in the slop. I'm going to move up Mo Donegal if it's a little bit sloppy. He's already my top pick. If you want to watch my Derby preview, I picked Uncle Mo. For the Kentucky Oaks, I picked Venti Valentine. You can take a look at those previews. And when you look at this, anybody else got a Kentucky Oaks, Kentucky Derby double. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a strategy that I like to do. Before we go into that, I want to talk about Messier and Taba. I think Messier and Taba overseas, a lot of people are betting Taba. On many in the Vegas books, Taba's getting a lot of money. I think Taba's going to be closer to 8-1 on the betting. I think Taba's going to be bet in the Oaks Derby doubles. And I think if you like Taba, you probably have to play Messier because you either believe in those speed figures or you're kind of tossing them out. Taba, again, with only 2 lifetime races, 6 furlong race and a mile and an 1/8 race. And then you've got Messier, who was run down by Taba, and then he was run down by Slowdown Andy in the Losail Futurity. So I don't know. I just don't like those losses. My prediction on Messier is going to come off the pace. I think his best chance of winning the race is to lay back, make a mid-race move, and try to open it up on the turn. I think if he's up on the engine, dueling with Epicenter, dueling with a horse like Classic Causeway, maybe Simplification up there, it just seems like you're going to get some trouble on that front end. So that's kind of my take. Bill, he loves the Oaks Derby double. He's playing 4-15 this year. That's Bill W's Oak. Joe likes a couple of long shot, 2 in the Oaks for a long shot. And another one says there'll be several Oliverlays in the Oaks because of the Zulu, Kathleen O, and Nest. He likes Secret Oath and Turner Loose. Now, I think Secret Oath is a horse that you want to watch the replay on. She was bet down against the boys in the last race. At one point on the backstretch, she was 4 wide. Then she got shuffled all the way back to last, and she went from last, circling the field, all the way up to 3rd. That's what they call a rough trip. She made 2 moves in that race. And normally when a horse makes 2 move in a race like that, the next race, that's a good bet. So I think Paul is right here. I think a horse like Echo Zulu and Kathleen O are going to be underlays in the double. And I agree with Paul that Secret Oath and maybe a couple of the other horses will be overlays in those Oak Derby doubles. Another thing that people like to do in the Oaks Derby doubles is look at the will pays and see the horses that they're betting in the Derby, kind of note that, and then maybe play those horses on the next day. The Oaks Derby double, remember, you have to get all your bets in on Friday before the Oaks, and you're seeing a little bit more. The people that are playing the Oaks Derby doubles is a little bit more of the hardcore type player. And Chuck says kind of an S pattern. Yeah, when you make that move, then you go back and then you go forward. Yes, I have heard that that's called the S pattern. So good comment there, Chuck, bringing that up. I'd kind of forgot about the S pattern, but that was very popular in a lot of handicapping books a few years back. William says, Nest and Secret Oath with Tabia and Epicenter. So, he's going to use, and what I like there is one of the things that I've noticed in recent years, and I'm going to do a recap show that shows the difference in the will pays once you get beyond the top 3 favorites. A lot of times people will overuse the top 3 favorites in the Oaks and the top 3 favorites in the Derby. If you start using the 4th or 5th favorites in the Oaks or the 4th or 5th favorites in the Derby, that's when the payoffs go up dramatically. I also think people like to use a little bit of a single strategy. They like to single one race and then play multiple horses in the other race. So Mr. Lockey is going to go Nest in the first leg, and then he's going to use Mo Donegal and Zandon on the second race. So that is a little bit of a strategy as well. So let's spend a little bit of time. So here is a strategy that I like to use for Oaks Derby doubles. I like to write down my top pick in each race. So here is my strategy. So if you want to use your horses, and again, what we're trying to do is just to get people to think about different strategies, because a lot of times people will say, well, how do you play Oaks Derby doubles? And what's a good strategy? And I'm not saying this is the perfect strategy. What I'm saying is I think sometimes people don't have any strategy. They just play 4 horses times 4 horses, and they play it all for $2, and they don't really weigh their opinions. So what I'm going to do here, Derby Bandit says, if you only play daily doubles with no favorites, make it worth your risk. If Lulu Epicenter cashes, you ain't cashing much. So I kind of agree with Derby Bandit there. So here's what I'm going to do. Again, so you write down your top pick for the Oaks. You write down your top pick for the Derby. Then you write down your long shot, because I always want to have at least one ticket where if this horse wins, I make some money. So that's what I do. So then this is how I kind of structure my plays. And then I write down my B contenders for both the Oaks and the Derby. So my B contenders are Nest in the Oaks and Secret Oath, and then White Abario and Epicenter in the Derby. So those are my B contenders. So what I'm doing there is those are the horses that I'm going to play on my Oaks Derby doubles, but I'm not going to play them all for $2. So here is how I kind of write out my tickets. So I'm going to play a $10 double, Venti with Mo Donegal. That is my top 2 picks. Then I'm going to play a $6 double, Nest, who's my B horse, with my top pick, Mo Donegal. Then I'm going to play a $4 double, Secret Oath with Mo Donegal. Then I'm going to go Venti, my top pick, with my bomb, Tis the Bomb. That's my long shot. Because if Tis the Bomb wins and my Oaks pick wins, I want to win a lot of money. Then I come back with kind of what I call a little bit smaller tickets, a $6 double Nest with Epicenter, then a $4 double Nest with White Abario. Then I'm going to play a $5 double Secret Oath with Epicenter, and then Secret Oath with White Abario. And now again, if you've only got half that money, this is like, roughly $70, $80, maybe, you go half that. But, and again, what I'm just trying to show is that you can't play $2 doubles with all of the same picks in each race. So This guy says John's going to steal it all. So that's John Velasquez on Messier. So another person says in the double, Desert Dawn and Nostalgic with Mo Donegal, Tis the Brahm, and Crown Pride. What I like about that is they're giving themselves a little bit of a chance to win some money. I think sometimes people don't ever play any tickets. The reason why I like the Oaks Derby is that you got a lot of money in the pool. It's the only race of the year we get 20 horses in a horse race, 14 horses in the Derby, and you got to take advantage of the big pools and the big fields. This guy says, can you touch on how you structure your super tickets? Do you drop all horses down? How many in each spot? My only strategy for a super, I'm not much of a super player. I do play a super every year. My goal is to hit one super in my lifetime. I've hit a Derby trifecta. I've hit a Derby exacta. I've hit doubles. So what I do is I play one horse on top. I play two horses second, three horses third, five horses in fourth. Usually I try to get somebody to partner in or 2-3 people to partner in. And then if I can't do that, then I basically play one horse first, two horses second. Another strategy would be to play a second horse on top and then your top pick second. But I just think if you try to, basically you have to limit the top two spots to a couple of horses. We got another Shamama and Kathleen O with Mo Donegal, Epicenter, and Smile Happy. Again, what I like about that ticket is that they're playing a long shot on the first leg, and then they're playing a long shot in that second leg, because maybe Kathleen O wins with Smile Happy, or they get Shamama with Epicenter. So you can't play all long shots. And the only thing I would add is maybe play a second ticket with Kathleen O over Epicenter or Smile Happy. Joe Tepe says, Charge It, a lock. Of course, Charge It is part of the Florida Brigade, 3 lifetime races. I know this, if Charge It loses the Derby, he's going to rest up to the Belmont, and Tap It already has 4 Belmont winners. Charge It will be the morning line favorite for the Belmont immediately after the Derby if he runs in the top 7, because we've seen that happen multiple times with horses losing the Derby by Tap It and then winning the Belmont. So somebody says Echo Zulu is going to go wire to wire. So that's how I'm going to play my Oaks Derby doubles. Next thing up is the ABC betting strategy. You want to talk a little bit about this? And let's go on here. We're going to go with races 9 through 12. So this is pick 4. If you want to work this into your pick 5 or your pick 3, it's the same thing. You're just taking only 3 of these races or even a daily double. So it's races 9 through 12. It's the American Turf, Churchill Downs Turf Classic, and the Kentucky Derby on Saturday. And we're going to talk about a little bit of ticket construction. And this is how I'm going to do it. So you kind of got to create a Kentucky Derby story. So the first thing I look at, out of those 4 races, or a pick 5 or a pick 3, who's going to be the biggest favorite? My prediction, out of those 4 races, the biggest favorite is going to be Jackie's Warrior. So he's going to be on the most tickets. That's just a fact. More tickets will have Jackie's Warrior on them than any other horse. So if Jackie's Warrior wins, the pick 4, pick 5, pick 3 is automatically going to play lower. So if you're looking for one of those $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 scores, you want to include more tickets that don't include Jackie's Warrior. To me, the most wide open is the Woodford Reserve. Now, 80% of the tickets are going to have the top 3 favorites in all 4 races. That's just the way people do it. Most people start right away. They play favorite, 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 favorite. What I'm telling you on this show, if you never believe anything from me here again, you can look it up. I don't think 4 straight favorites have ever won going into the Kentucky Derby. It's never going to happen. So every time somebody plays 4 straight favorites and I pick 4 going into the Derby, you're automatically writing losing tickets. So on your pick 4 strategy, this guy says using none of these, going to have at least a $10 double on the 2 horses who crushed at Churchill, Hidden Connection, and Smile Happy. So that's how I start my strategy. Then from there, I like to, here's one of the things I automatically do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss 1 favorite. 4 favorites never win straight in the Kentucky Derby races 9 through 12. It's just not going to happen. I don't care what you say. 4 favorites will not win on Saturday in a row, races 9 through 12. It's never happened before. It may happen this Saturday. But if you can toss one of those favorites, and if you can single a favorite, that allows you to include horses that other people won't be using. And remember, 80% of the tickets use the top 3 favorites on their pick 4s, pick 5s, pick 3s. That is what is called groupthink. Everybody uses the same horses, but the more you can go deep in one race, what you want to do is try to get a long shot in there, whether it's Smile Happy, whether it's Public Sector. This guy says Public Sector is a lock on the turf. Write that down, people. Heriberto says Public Sector will not lose. So the pick 4 wager, are you talking about is nothing but grade 1 and grade 2 races? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. It's grade 1. I think 3 of the races are grade 1 and the turf is a grade 2. So the Churchill Downs, the Woodford Reserve, and the Kentucky Derby are grade 1 races, and they've all got at least 10 horses. So there's big fields and there's a lot of combinations. So what I'm trying to do here is if you can toss one favorite and single a horse, that'll give you a strategy. So here's what I came up with. Again, I'm trying to use examples here because a lot of times people will say, oh, well, use a bunch of horses or whatever. But so here's the horses that most of the tickets will have. Siggy Mendoza says you need to find vulnerable favorites. Yes. And some people call these false favorites. So Siggy Mendoza, he says what he's going to try to do is find a vulnerable favorite and use that on less tickets. So these are the horses that everybody is going to use on their tickets. They're going to use Dog. They're going to use Jackie's Warrior. They're going to use Prevalence. They're going to use Sherrill's Spate. And they're going to use Epicenter and Zandon. They are going to be on roughly about 70% of the tickets. If you can throw out any one of those 6 horses, that is how you can cash a $4,000 to $10,000 ticket. Now, if you're happy, if you want to play a bunch of the favorites, and the thing of it is, like I say, 4 favorites never win in a row. So chances are 4 straight favorites won't win. These are the horses that are going to be used on most of the tickets. So the core ticket for me is in race 9. These are the main horses that'll be used. But if you can put a horse like Coinage in there, or Stolen Base, or Dowagiac Chief, who ran on the synthetic the last time, who now goes to turf. He ran at Turfway Park. This is the type of horse that's probably going to be about 20 to 1 on the board. But in a pick 5 or pick 4 or pick 3, he is going to be about 40 to 1. So when he wins, or if he wins, a 20 or 30 to 40 to 1 on the board, they might be 50 to 1 in a pick 3 or a pick 4 or a pick 5. So again, these are some horses to think about in race 10. You've got Prevalence, you've got Jackie's Warrior, you've got Reinvestment Risk. Those are going to be the most used horses in that race. Now, some people are going to use Aloha West, but if you can't use all 4 of these horses, those are basically the 4 favorites. So you either use one of the favorites or you take one of these 3 horses off your ticket. So anybody have a preference for Prevalence, Jackie's Warrior, or Reinvestment Risk? So, 4 favorites win in a row all the time at Santa Anita. We're talking about Derby Day, and that's because they have 5 horse fields all the time at Santa Anita. These races, we literally have 20 horses in the Derby. We have 12 horses in the Woodford Reserve. We have 10 horses in the Sprint, and we have 12 horses on the turf. Chances of getting 4 straight favorites in a row on Derby Day, it's very rare. So that is what I'm saying. And I guess you don't have to believe me. I'm just a guy on the internet. But if you go look it up and spend some time, it's never happened ever since they've had a pick 4 or pick 5. There's always at least one long shot in there. So at the end of the day, same thing with Breeders' Cup. Like, you always get the one long shot that nobody has. So this guy says what they call this is what is called a separator, a horse that you can have that nobody else is going to have. This guy says Stolen Base, but I'm saying, these are your core horses: Sherrill Spate, Adhamo, Santine, Mira Mission. That's a horse that less people are going to have. Maybe you've done some handicapping, and what's going to happen is that you're going to pick a horse. I'm just saying, use horses in one of the races that other people don't have. That is how you're going to get in cash on one of these big pick fours. Then, you know, your core ticket, most people are going to use Epicenter, Zandon, Messier, and Taba. Now, the separators, the horses that are really going to make this pay are Mo Donegal, Crown Pride, Tis the Bomb, and Simplification. These are the horses that are going to really blow up this pick 4 or pick 5 or pick 3. Again, I'm not saying any of these horses are going to win. Maybe you like Happy Jack, or maybe you like Taba as a single. What I'm saying, if you single Taba, then you go back and maybe you take Ad Homo and Cheryl Spate, and then maybe you go like 5 horses deep in race 10. Because then you're saying, I really like Taba, and I'm going to use him on one of my key tickets. Another strategy is to go 2 or 3 tickets. Don't put all your bets on just one ticket, and then you have to kind of let it ride. This guy is offering you some advice. He says Smile Happy is going to finish in the money. So maybe you want to use a horse like Smile Happy, you know, and definitely play, you know, see how the track conditions playing as it rains, and maybe a soft turf course. You know, whenever it's a soft turf course, I like some of the European horses that have either ran on a soft course or horses that ran in Europe, because a lot of times, this one I totally believe with. Tanya is right. Tabia is not going to be 12-1. Tabia is going to be about 7-1, 12-1. I'm not sure where that morning line came from. Again, but we're not going to have 5 horses at 30-1. We're going to have 3 or 4 horses also at 50 or 60-1. There's going to be some long shot. Judy, who's sitting outside with her umbrella, she says rain early, then spotty showers later. Siggy Mendoza says Tis the Bomb is the bomb. He's buying the hype on Siggy Mendoza. Going to rain possibly on Friday. But again, give me some of your picks for the Derby and the Oaks. So again, how I'm going to play out my tickets here is I'm going to single one race. I'm going to throw out at least one favorite. And that's how I'm going to play it. Now, Joe, he says he's going to toss Epicenter. Now, again, whether it's Epicenter or another horse, what Joe is saying, Joe is playing to win a bigger ticket, and he knows that 4 straight favorites probably won't win. So Joe says, I'm going to throw out Epicenter, but maybe you want to throw out Jackie's Warrior. Jackie's Warrior lost at 3-5 in the Breeders' Cup. It does happen, and favorites lose all the time on Derby Day. And Chuck Brower says, Ivar, the pride of Brazil, for the crafty trainer Paul Lobo. Ivar sitting on a big race. He doesn't have a big win percentage, but he does win. And he had a smoking finish in the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile last year. So maybe Ivar, it's his time to win around. So that's another way of looking at this. So again, what are some of your ABC strategies for betting, and how do you kind of play your Oaks Derby doubles? And also, anybody with any workout comments, kind of been watching the workout shows. What do you kind of think overall of the workouts? I thought White Abario had a nice workout on Sunday. I thought Simplification's last 2 workouts have been very well. And anybody else with some strategy on a horse to either single or throw out in the pick 4. Charlie says Mo Donegal, if it's an off track, he'll kind of ride the rail and save some ground. Well, remember looking at Lee on a sloppy track? He ran pretty much just saved ground all the way around and ran second at 33-1 to Always Dreaming in the slop that year. So, you know, one of the things they do is they kind of start staggering the horse loads. So they used to load the horses one at a time, but in recent years, they've been ordering 1 and 20, then 2 and 19 at the same time. So horses aren't in the starting gate as long as they used to be. I remember one year, it took almost 3 minutes for the gate to load. Some of those horses were in the starting gate for almost 3 minutes. So that is a factor. Huberto says Tabia is not Justify. Shots are fired. He says he's no Justify. Of course, Justify won the Triple Crown. Diana says Echo Zulu cantered in the last workout. She's a small filly. She's a lighter filly. I also think that Shahama only weighs about 800 pounds. She's by Munnings. Those 2 horses would probably like the slop. Zandon's a big, long, leggy horse, Jay says. He looked healthy today in the paddock. Of course, they're schooling him for Saturday's race. And I like this one, Simplification to hit the Super. Florida Derby was a big effort. Yeah, what's interesting, Chris, is that Simplification went wire to wire in the Mucho Macho Man. Then he stumbled out of the gate in the Fountain of Youth and circled the field and ran second. Then in the Fountain of Youth, or in the Florida Derby, he was dueling on the lead. He put away Classic Causeway on the turn, but then he had to duel with Papa Cap for about 23 seconds. I timed it. Papa Cap was right outside of him on his flank for 23 seconds. He just got tired late. Then White Abarrio went by, Charge It went by, and Simplification probably could run a better race. But does he want to be on the lead, dueling with Epicenter, or what do you think of Epicenter? Is he going to go on the lead? I think those are some of the questions. This guy says Epicenter all the way home. I think Epicenter drew well. Dosage profile of 13600 and center of distribution. I think that's for Epicenter. Yeah, he's got stout pedigree, especially on that female side. I did do a video on the female side of the pedigree. So again, on the ticket strategy, my main strategy here, for those of you just joining on, my strategy is to toss one favorite and single another horse. So we're looking for singles that we can single in this pick 4, races 9 through 12, or if you're playing a pick 5, Paul says Crown's Pride is working fast. He had a 46.2 workout. You can watch workouts, by the way, if you haven't been paying attention. If you're new to Kentucky Derby handicapping, if you go to Twitter and look up Kentucky Derby, or if you go to the YouTube channel and look up Kentucky Derby, they have all the workouts from the last 2 weeks, and you can watch a lot of these workouts as many times as you like, and you can watch some of the replays. Siggy Mendoza asked, do you think Messier will be forced to set the pace? He likes him off the pace. I like him off the pace, but a lot of people are liking, John Velasquez wired the Derby with Authentic. He wired the Derby with Always Dreaming. He wired the Derby with Medina Spirit. So if you're John Velasquez, Siggy Mendoza, let's put Siggy Mendoza up on a horse. Siggy, are you ready to ride? If you were John Velasquez and you had ridden 3 straight wire-to-wire winners, would Siggy Mendoza put Messier 5 or 6 lengths off the pace? Let's see about Lane. Lane says playing a straight trifecta in the Derby. By the way, it's a challenge, so he's going to try to do that. Yes, this is a fact. Now, Kelly is making a very good point. A lot of the other UAE Derby horses came over the week of the Derby. They had to go to quarantine, got let out on a Tuesday, only had 2 days to gallop over the track, and then basically they all flopped. 15 straight horses have come over from Dubai. They've all flopped. Thunder, Snow, and all these clowns. I think Crown Pride coming over 3 weeks early, multiple workouts over the track, that's a big difference. So I think Crown Pride is going to run a lot better than a lot of these UAE Derby horses. So yeah, here's a good strategy. You can check the Derby odds in the morning, and they pretty much hold up throughout the day. This is one thing I've noticed as well. Yes, the odds don't change much from the morning. And one of the things, somebody asked me earlier this week about body language. Well, if you've already played a double or a pick 3 or a pick 4, you really can't change your bets. But if you're playing trifectas or exactas, especially if we get a large crowd for the first time in a couple of years, we've got maybe some rain, some of these horses, a long day. Remember, they won't even run this race till 7:30 at night practically. After a long day, these horses are up. You think you're up early handicapping. And, I think sometimes some of these horses, a long day, they may not run their A race. So Cyberknife. Yes, I was very impressed with Cyberknife's Arkansas Derby. The part I liked was the early part. Early on in that race, Kavad was on the lead. Then we had another horse rush up that was Chasing Time. And if you notice, Cyberknife was in 4th place. And then he cut up and split between horses. He went between Kavad and Chasing Time. And a lot of horses wouldn't have been able to do that. And then he kind of surged to the lead coming into the turn. A lot of people liked his 112.2 workout 2 Saturdays ago. He came back with another workout this weekend. So I think some people think Cyberknife is live. I will definitely use Cyberknife on a trifecta, and probably an Exacta box. I will be using Cyberknife. Japanese horses have been doing well in the recent year. March Lorraine at 70-1 in the Breeders' Cup. We also had several Japanese horses win in Dubai recently. And so, yeah, they're getting there. They're getting used to more dirt horses. Lane, Tiz the Bomb. How could Tiz the Bomb beat this field? His highest buyer is 94. Well, he does have some high Brisnet speed figures, but again, he's going synthetic to dirt. Sometimes I like the synthetic to dirt move. I think horses can improve. And let's see. Cyberknife, will he run to his works on Saturday? I guess that's the biggest question. I think he's been working out well. He won the Arkansas Derby. Here's another thing. He ran on the same day that Epicenter ran in the Risen Star. He ran earlier in that card. And a couple of the speed figures, Thorograph and Brisnet, have his race on the undercard almost as fast as Epicenter ran in the Risen Star. Now, granted, it was only a mile and 16th, and it wasn't as high class of a race, but he did run on the same day at the same racetrack, and he ran a big speed figure. Also, Cyberknife has six races, so he's a little bit more experienced. I will tell you this, I do think Cyberknife is going to be one of the best horses of this crop. He may not win the Derby, but I think by the end of the year, Cyberknife could be one of the top 5 or 6 horses. He is just a big horse. He's got a big frame. He runs with his head a little bit high. I do like Mo Donegal. He's a little bit of an anteater. He runs with his head down low. I think that's more efficient on the stride. We've got Mattress Mac sighting. Mattress Mac going to be making some big wagers on Saturday. Yeah, he's going to put $4 million on the favorite, but we don't really know who that favorite is going to be. So again, looking for some more tips. So, you've got some more horses. I think another thing people wanted to ask about, there's that intangible. Here's the thing. We handicapped this race again, and it doesn't matter if you like Barber Road or you like some Mo Donegal, you like Cyberknife, you can like White Abarrio, you can like Taba. But have you ever noticed every year the Derby, even though we think all these horses have a chance, usually by the time you get to the second turn, it's usually down to about 6 or 7 horses. So somebody mentioned, like it's that extra intangible. Who gets a good trip? Who is ready to run their best race? Who is going to show that quality down the stretch? Because sometimes we've seen it. Look at Unbridled. He was almost, he almost stumbled halfway down the stretch when Bet Twice came out on him. Chris McCarron almost fell off the horse. That's that intangible. You can look at those past performances all you want, but who has the heart of a champion? Somebody's going to step up here. American Pharaoh. He chased Firing a Line all the way around. I don't even think the Derby was his best race. I thought his Belmont was his best race, but he found a way to win that race. He overcame adversity. Always Dreaming took care of a sloppy track, went to the lead. So watch these races, but somebody is going to have to overcome a little bit of adversity. Somebody else likes Zozos and Cyberknife will be there in the end. So Brad Cox, of course, got 3 races. Can they handle the smoke of Tawnyport? That'll be the 3rd horse by Brad Cox. This guy's putting a win place show on Barber Road. Smile Happy. Do want to talk about him. Now, one of the cases for Smile Happy, again, getting back to what we talked about earlier, is I like horses that run in pairs. So I think if you like Cyberknife, if you like Cyberknife, then maybe you like even Secret Oath in the Kentucky Oaks. But you're like Barber Road, or if you like Epicenter, then maybe you like Zozos. If you like, now early voting isn't running in the Derby, and neither is Echo Zulu. So really Mo Donegal is the only horse, but some people like Smile Happy more than Zandon, because Zandon, even though he had a faster final quarter than Smile Happy ran 4 wide on the first turn and 4 wide on the second turn. So Smile Happy ran 20 more feet than Zandon. So what's more important, Chris? Running more feet a farther distance or running a faster final quarter. That's kind of what some of the handicapping is you kind of got to look at those past performances and determine, is saving ground and being closer to the rail a better angle, or running wide? Sometimes you avoid some of that trouble down in the middle of the track. So this guy says he likes Zozos until he drew that outside post. Charles says UAE Derby horse is the only sprinter in the race. I think he's going to set it up. I kind of agree with Charles here. You've got Classic Causeway. You've got Summer is Tomorrow, Simplification, maybe Messier, Epicenter. What are your thoughts on a pace meltdown, or do we got to stick with the recent trend or some of the speed taking on in this race? So why shouldn't we toss Mo Donegal in the one hall? Been my horse all along, 2 years in a row. IRAD draws the one horse. It didn't work out for Known Agenda. Well, Known Agenda, if I remember right, I don't know if he ever ran again. So he might have been hurt a little bit that day. He might have been over the top. Same trainer as well. Todd Pletcher trained both of them. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, you can make the case for Taba or Messier. My thing is try to get it down to 4 or 5 horses that you think can win the race. Then try to get to 4 or 5 horses that can run second and third. I think if you try to treat all 20 horses as winning the race, I think that's going to be hard to handicap that way for doubles and pick 3s and pick 4s. 4-horse Derby box is Messier, Zandon, Taba, and Cyberknife. Superman says Zandon and Epicenter are very close. I agree with that. I think, boy, on speed figures, on form, Epicenter beat him in the Risen Star, but that was Zandon's first race in 100 days. Then he came back and won the Bluegrass. And then Epicenter came back and ran a very similar speed figure. I think both of them could improve by a couple of points. So a good point, I think, Zandon and Epicenter. So normally you want to play the longer of the 2 odds. That's normally the betting strategy. But, sometimes it's just fun to pick a Derby winner. Like my top pick is Mo Donegal, but I'm going to play a little bit of a couple of doubles or win bets on Tiz the Bomb. I'm going to play a couple of doubles with maybe White Abario just to have some fun. I don't want to put all my money on one horse, but I want to put a couple extra bucks on Mo Donegal just because if he wins, I want to win a little bit more money. So any other strategies out there for Derby day? Also, place and show wagers play more than they normally. A lot of times in the Derby, a show bet might play $5. I think American Pharaoh paid $4 to show. So you get some wacky show payoffs on Derby day. Herd Dynamics. This has been popular in recent years. It's out tonight by Brisnet. Basically what they look at is the herd dynamics. They believe horses have a pecking order. There's a leader of the pack. Some horses don't like to have horses around them. So if horses get around them and crowd them in a big field, they'll try to move too fast and they'll burn themselves out. So a lot of herd dynamics, people like to take a look at that, because then the reason why it's important in the Derby is because it's one of the few races where you get a 20-horse field and herd dynamics might come into play. This guy says who's ever 2nd through 6th place on the 4th turn, yes, could win it all. 2nd turn on the outside. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think you have to be in the top 7 at that point to have a chance to actually win the Kentucky Derby. This is kind of a good question. Yeah, I'd like to see a new jockey win it. We've had John Velasquez win 2 of them officially. We've got, I think, 10 jockeys that have never won the Kentucky Derby. Manny Franco on Zozos. I think he's been a good rider throughout the year. Javier Castellano, Irad Ortiz, he's big around the New York circuit and Gulfstream. He won the Belmont. He's won some big races on the Breeders' Cup, but he hasn't won the Kentucky Derby yet. Anybody have a jockey that they'd like to see win the Kentucky Derby this year? Yeah, Tom says a wide trip in the Bluegrass for Smile Happy. He is fit. I kind of agree with that. Pedigree on the female side says he should be able to get the distance. But on the sire side, Run Happy was a sprinter. So that's kind of your Pedigree to dilemma. The dosage is nice, and there's some winners at distance on the female side of the Pedigree. And then trainers. Which trainers will get that first Derby? Steve Asmussen, he's 0 for 23. Chad Brown is 0 for 6, but he had a good run, 2nd place finish by Good Magic. Fifth place finish by Practical Joke. But a lot of Steve Asmussen runners have been long shots. So, do you really include horses over 10-1 maybe? This guy says he likes Zandon and Zozos. They're from Minnesota. The Killer Z's from Minnesota, Zandon and Zozos. Yeah, I'm from Minnesota. If those of you don't know, Derbyologist is headquartered just 15 miles from the pride of Canterbury Park. And Zozos and Zandon are Minnesota owned, and they're both the Killer Z's. So Canterbury Park will be throwing a Derby party, and they will be rooting for Zandon and Zozos. The story on White Abarrio is fun. They watched his maiden race. This horse was bought for $7,500. They watched his maiden race, and they purchased White Abarrio out of a maiden race at Gulfstream Park, 6.5 furlongs. How many? And they purchased him privately. And then since then, he's won the Holy Bull, the Florida Derby, and almost $800,000. I think that's a pretty cool story. So I do think, it was Ali Sheba that almost fell in mid-stretch, not Unbridled. Unbridled was another horse that kind of had to weave his way through traffic. If you ever watch that replay by Ferdinand on that turn, Willie Shoemaker probably had one of the best Kentucky Derby rides of all time. There was 2 horses on the inside. He waited till the hole kind of opened up, and then he kind of shot that loop right out of that movie Seabiscuit. There's my hole, gotta go, when Gary Stevens, as Red Pollard said to the other jockeys. So maybe we get a move like that. Who can make that as a jockey this year? This guy says Cyberknife for 3rd, Crown Pride for 4th, Ali Sheba in 87. That was one of my favorite derbies. 89 was one of my favorite derbies as well. Sunday Silence, winning that one for the Bald Eagle, Charlie Winningham. This guy says he's going to go with Mike Smith and Taba. Of course, Mike Smith, another jockey from Canterbury Park. Dryo says fade the recent trend. So that way he's going to play some closers and some horses from off the pace. Anybody else like a horse to key in the Oaks or the Derby Double? We're getting close to the top of the hour, a couple of more minutes. Again, remember, race 10, I think, is a key race in the pick 4 and pick 5. Out of those top 4 favorites, pick one of them to choose to kind of play out. I think Santine is one to maybe consider for the pick 4, pick 5. Mira Mission is one. If you wanted to explode a big payoff, play one of these horses and try to single another race. These are the biggest question marks. So I wanted to talk about this. These are the horses that you have to decide whether you're going to use them or not use them. Aloha West off a big layoff. Taba in only his 3rd lifetime start. Messier got beat twice the last couple of times as the favorite. Santine has been bet down. Ivar doesn't win a lot of races, but he fires some big ones. And then Balnikov in the American Turf. I think if you can choose which of these horses you like and which of them you don't like, that could determine if you can hit this pick 3, pick 4, or pick 5. Don't forget, I've got a preview up of the Kentucky Derby, a preview up of the Kentucky Oaks. So give me some more Kentucky Derbies. This guy says one of the Ortiz brothers will get the money. Yeah, the Ortiz brothers, they're in a lot of these big races. Be interesting to see, of course, Jose Ortiz and Irad Ortiz. Now, interestingly enough, Epicenter, the jockey on him is Joel Rosario. Joel Rosario rode Zandon in his maiden win at Belmont. And Joel Rosario rode Mo Donegal the last time in the Wood Memorial. And he is choosing to ride Epicenter in the Kentucky Derby. He is going to stick on Epicenter. He rode him in the Risen Star, and he also rode him in the Louisiana Derby. Don't know if that means anything. Corey Lannery, Judy, he's the king of Churchill Downs. Maybe he rides that rail. Kelvin Burrell isn't riding anymore. Maybe we get Corey Lannery or Brian Hernandez. He also does well at Churchill Downs. I wouldn't mind seeing Brian Hernandez. Ken McPeak, he's going to try to win that Derby. He's got Smile Happy. He's got Tiz the Bomb. He's saving Rattle and Roll as an also eligible, but maybe he'll run the Preakness. Tyler Gaffleone is on White Abarrio. So this one, I think this is a good point. Remember in the Holy Bull, Tiz the Bomb was all washed out and he ran a bad race in the Holy Bull. So this guy is very accurate. He said he washed out in the Holy Bull. So watch him. If you haven't made your bets, watch and see how Tis the Bomb or Tis the Bomb looks in the post parade. So if you see a lot of lather on his neck or down the front of him, then you might say, okay, he's not going to run his race. But if he looks really good, maybe it's cooler on Saturday. I don't know. Maybe it's 68 degrees, could be a little bit cooler. Maybe washing out might not really be in play. So, so we've got, let's see here. Which sires benefit from a muddy track? I think Uncle Mo does well. Epicenter, Gun Runner. I think there's some sloppy breeding on his, and not this time. Sire of and Gun Runner. I think you got to look at those runners. They could possibly be some, that's their first and second crop, but they could also be a chance to get good. I think Simplification has the body style of a lighter horse. Usually in the sloppy track, I like a lighter horse. I don't like a long frame horse. So I don't like Zandon on a muddy track. I like a horse that runs a little less weight. Horse like that could be Tis the Bomb. He doesn't carry as much weight. Cyberknife, I don't like as much on a muddy track. He's a big, huge horse. When I'm playing horses and cheaper races, I like to look for lighter horses on a blocky track. So yes, this is true. The Derby is typically won on the turn, very rare for a horse to pass everyone in the stretch. Giacomo was one of the few that did. This guy says for betting strategy, take a horse you like, make 3 tickets, single that horse in the first, second, and third spot. So that's another strategy. This guy says for his strategy, going to try a $1 Superfecta box. Mo Donegal with Zandon over Crown Pride over Tis the Bomb. Anything else? Anybody notice any other patterns in the racing form that this guy says he's going to toss Aloha West as one of his tosses? So again, what we're trying to show here is just like have a strategy. Don't just play the favorite with the favorite with the favorite, because it ain't going to pay anything. As the Derby Bandit said earlier, you're not going to win any money. Start with that. You can bet Derby doubles on Oaks Derby double, Craig. You can bet a double starting in the race before the Derby. And don't forget, you can play a double with the Kentucky Derby going into the 13th race. And then they've got a new wager this year called the 3-year-old pick 3 that starts on Friday. It's the Kentucky Oaks, it's the American Turf, and it's the Kentucky Derby. It's a $3 minimum, so that's a new bet. And then they've got an all dirt pick 5 this year. So if you don't like turf races, but Craig, you can play a double going into the Derby, starting with the Derby, and you can play an Oaks Derby double. So that's a good question. Danny says Cyberknife wins for fun. Good luck to Danny. Joe Bravo. Eric is a big Jersey Joe Bravo. Of course, Joel is also first call for Asmussen. So that's probably the reason why he took Epicenter. This guy says he likes Hidden Connection and Kathleen O. Yeah, Hidden Connection, I thought, had a couple of nice workouts. I thought her workout 2 workouts back was one of the best workouts of all the Oaks workers. And I thought Kathleen O's first workout at Keeneland was a great workout. This last weekend, some of the clockers. Amy, I don't like Barbara Road to win. I think he could run 3rd or 4th. This guy says Kathleen O on a sloppy track in the Oaks, of course. Top 5 buyer speed figures. Well, we have got all the way back here. We have got, we'll go right here. So the top buyer speed figures for Mario. Here you go. Again, top 5 buyer speed figures: Messier, Taba, Epicenter, Zandon, and Zozos. Those are the top 5 buyer speed figures for the 2022 Kentucky Derby. We will see a horse pay $50 or more on the card. I would say we probably will. 14 races. We're probably going to see at least one shot. I agree with Chuck. I do like Munnings in the Mud. That gets you Shamama in the Oaks, and it gets you Zozos in the Derby. Of course, Simplification had a nice work in the slop, John says. And then this guy likes Jackie's Warrior and Nest. Zandon are the favorites he's using. Those are the only 3. So he's going to kind of lean on those. So he's saying he's going to try to find some longer prices in a few of the other races, and then try to focus on that as his keys on his pick 4s and pick 3s. So what you're seeing here is kind of some different strategies. Some people, if you're new to, just play a win bet. I'll tell you one thing. If you're going to play a win bet, I would say bet 2 horses to win on the Derby. It's one of the few races of the year. You could have bad trip. A horse could get out of the gate bad like Thunder Snow. A horse could start bad like Simplification did in the Fountain of Youth. And then you can't watch the rest of the race. So I do like to bet 2 horses in the Derby on the win. And I like to use 2 or 3 horses in the double, but I'll play my key horse in the double a little bit more. Again, how I'm going to structure some of my doubles is toss. Let's see here. And again, for those of you just joining, the Derby starting gate, the old system was 2 starting gates. The new one is just 1 starting gate. And what that means is they've got a narrower stall, but they've got more room at the rail to get out for post positions 1, 2, and 3. Post positions 1 and 2 really had a rough time of it in the past. So that's a look at that as well. Don't forget, support the channel any way possible. Either hit the like button, share this with a horse racing fan, or hit that thanks button. We're trying to do more videos and more learning for the Kentucky Derby. Remember, it's a process. What we're trying to do, I've only picked about 3 Kentucky Derby winners in 20 years. I picked Sunday Silence, I picked Always Dreaming, and I picked Animal Kingdom. So those are the 3 Derby winners that I've picked. So I don't know. I'm not going to try to pretend that I can pick every Derby winner. I've had a couple of horses run second, but it's hard. It's hard to pick the Kentucky Derby. Any other big, tell me who you've picked in the Kentucky Derby. Those are the 3 winners that I've picked in about, since 1989. So this guy likes, Carlitos likes White Abarrio. This guy is going to look for a little bit of a pace meltdown. So he's going to play a few horses coming from behind or include them on tickets. Another thing I like to do for an exacta strategy, if I like a front runner to win it, then I like to play closers for second. If I like closers for second, then I like to play one of the front runners, or closers to win it. I like to play one of the front runners to run second. Again, it doesn't always work, but sometimes it can pay off a little bit. I call it the opposite strategy, where if I play a speed horse to win it, then I want to play a closer to run second. And Paul says, as a rule, the Derby winners run a buyer of at least 100. So there's only a few horses that Tim says he likes half the field. So that's about right. I think 10 horses can win this most likely. So Tim's got half the field eliminated. So now we can just work on some exactas and trifectas and superfectas. This guy is going to play a nostalgic Mo Donegal Zandon double. He says, cash it, Charles B. Mike Smith on the downside, according to El Azote Lopez. 3 qualifiers on the buyer scale. Epicenter, Messier, and Taba are the buyer speed figures. And this guy picked Thunder Gulch. Congratulations, Darren. Yes, the coach, D. Wayne Lucas, getting the job done at 24-1. This guy picked Go for Gin and Medina Spirit. Good luck to Diane. First Derby pick was Funny Side. Nice one. Yeah, the New York bred. Big winner circle photo that year with Funny Side. Churchill drains fast. Eric says, don't get sucked into a wet track. I kind of buy that, Eric, unless it keeps on raining at Derby time. Normally they are able to trace. And remember, there's like 50 minutes between the turf race and the Derby. And a lot of times that track dries off. So they can get it dried up very quick. So a couple more minutes left, a couple more patterns. I think the pattern general for the Derby is a lightly raced horse, 6 or more, and the other half has 6. So yes, good comment. Thunder Gulch, American Pharaoh, and Authentic. Tom's done well. Last 1 post was Ferdinand in 1986. Last 2 post was affirmed. I think that might be true, Paul. This person had Silver Charm, Funny Side, Maximum Security. Yeah, he did win. He got disqualified. And Medina. So that's pretty good. So yeah, those are some of the winners. This one is good strategy. I agree with this. Don't let the odds scare you away from betting. Box up who you like, play who you like in the doubles. What I'm trying to do here is kind of just teach people some of the different ways that people handicap the Derby, have some fun. We've been trying to pick winners, watch some of the videos. Kenny goes all the way to Secretariat. Wow, Kenny. Now, Kenny, he had lost the Wood Memorial. So kind of would like to know how Kenny thought, back in the day, did people think Secretariat was going to win, or was that, he set a track record? That would have been kind of fun. Kenny going back to 1973. Fun to have all different people, with some of their this guy picked Barbaro, American Pharaoh, and Real Quiet. This person's down to 5 horses, 1, 10, 13, 14, and 15, Bill W. So this one picked I'll Have Another. I didn't bet because he got fired on Friday. So Janet picked all 3 winners in the Triple Crown in the 70s. Everybody knew AP and Justify for the Derby. So would have been fun to be around for Affirmed and Alidar. Janet is the wise sage of the Derby broadcast. So she was able to watch and enjoy the Triple Crown winners. Seattle Slew. Of course, so we had Affirmed and Alidar in their rivalry. That would have been fun. Giacomo for Roberto, 50-1 shot. So yeah, again, we might have one more a live stream before Saturday. I may do one Saturday morning. If you want one Saturday morning before the festivities begin, leave me a note, a message on the channel. So maybe if we get, 20 or 30 people to say they want to see a quick show on Saturday morning to go over the final notes, let me know, and maybe we'll do one Saturday morning. Otherwise, good luck to everybody on the Derby. Remember, support the channel, hit the like button, share it, or hit the thanks button. Good luck on all your derbies. Hope everybody has learned from the show, and keep on studying. We got a couple of nights as we get you ready. Remember, it's the first Saturday in May. And remember, people have opinions, horses have the facts.